I'd like to tell you the story of the blue violin. You must go to the town of Cremona in northern Italy in the mid-18th century. It's early morning, the sun is just creeping over the housetops. The square has cobbled stones. At the far end is a magnificent church, and either side there are stone arches, and above that the rooms where merchants ply their trade. People are moving around in the morning. It's quiet. But the quiet is broken by the clatter of hooves and wooden wheels as a caravan comes into the square. It's driven by a man with a red beret, white shirt and red trousers. Next to him is a woman with a red skirt, white blouse and a red bandana. They stop in the middle of the square and they begin to unload pegs, pots and pans, lucky heather for above your door, and people glance as they go past, until a small boy steps onto a platform at the end of the caravan and he takes out a blue violin. He holds it next to his chest and he begins to draw the bow back and forward, back and forward. The music swirls round the square and soars into the sky. And a crowd gathers to listen to the music. An old man at the back, an instrument maker, smiles. It's a long time since he's heard a violin played so beautifully and by one so young. The people, as they stand there, remember that perhaps they do need a new pot or some new pegs or heather for above the door, and business is brisk. But above the square, in an office, a merchant in a fine robe with a fur collar sits with his ledger, a man with no talent but to help people part with their money. He stands up in annoyance and shuts the window. A rumour begins to spread throughout the town. The violin is magic, because whoever saw a blue violin? And how could a small boy, play it so beautifully? Night has come and the moon is high in the sky, lighting the square. The only sound are the families sleeping in the caravan. But a figure dressed in black is walking amongst the arches. No robe, no fur collar this time. He crosses the square and stops at the back of the caravan. He reaches in, takes the violin and bow, walks away, climbs on his horse and rides out of the town, into the forest, and doesn't stop until he's reached a clearing. He dismounts, takes the bow and the violin and draws it across the strings. The sound is hideous. He tries to remember what the boy was doing with his fingers at the end of the violin, but the sound is no better. Furious, he begins to rake it back and forth, his temper growing, and in the end he takes it by the bridge and he smashes it against a tree and stops, his heart pounding, his teeth gritted. He climbs back on his horse and he rides back into the town. The next morning, the silence is broken by a small boy crying, by his parents angrily slamming the shutters on their caravan, packing everything away. A crowd forms. How could this be? Someone has stolen the boy's violin. Soon this will be news throughout northern Italy. Cremona is the kind of place where they would steal a small boy's violin. There's a muttering through the crowd, but then it parts, for the old man walks forward with a violin case. The father goes to speak, but his wife touches his arm. The old man opens the case and takes out a brand new violin, shiny brown, and hands it to the boy, who takes the bow. And he begins to draw it across the strings, back and forth, and the music swirls round the square and soars into the air, and the crowd cheer and clap with happiness and relief. And above the square, a window slams shut.
Nice.